Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen, joined, it's becoming a regular thing now, because, Monday's a recap of a lot of stuff. I mean, we're going to talk about high school football on Friday, Thursday, Saturdays. We're talking about college football on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. We're talking about the pros, on Sundays, Thursdays, sometimes Fridays. And we're not even getting into miscellaneous recruiting talk yet. I mean, there's so much stuff that Monday's a big day. So I bring Jace in. Jace LeJeune is our co-pilot, co-anchor today, and he's going to be with us in segment one. As always, we're going to go with LSU. And segment two, we're going to go miscellaneous, the other colleges in the state and around the country. We're going to have some great interviews with Brother Martin's head football coach, Mark Bonis, and their athletic director, Mark Wisniewksi. Hope I said that right, Jace, even though he told me on the sidelines when I talked to him. But he's the athletic director for a great program at Brother Martin. We're going to have that interview. Also, we're going to talk about the Saints and kind of our predictions kind of coming true, even though it's early. It could go either way, but I didn't jump on the bandwagon when they embarrassed Green Bay.
Unfortunately, I did.
And then we're going to talk about some high school stuff, Catholic High, Baton Rouge, how good they're doing, Lafayette Christian, West Monroe's improved, even though they lost to Catholic High, Baton Rouge. I think
first time ever.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the big wins they've had in Lafayette Christian. They have like the big wins of the program so far in this season. Let's go ahead and get started with LSU football. Jace, I called Michigan 5 different names last week. I think I called them everything but Eastern Michigan. But, there's Eastern Michigan, there's Western Michigan.
Central Michigan. Who LSU actually played.
There's Michigan State and Michigan, right? So they have all those D1 schools, kind of like Louisiana. They got a bunch of small D1 schools. But anyway, Central Michigan. Their quarterback, Sermon, was highly recruited. Even the announcer said it, but he was never proven. I mean, he couldn't beat out the starter at Washington Huskies. Wouldn't say he was a flop, but, I mean, he's a guy that I don't think he's still a great quarterback yet. They've got some talent. I mean, their left tackle's probably a second-round pick from Austria.
They talked about it. They talked about it a lot during the broadcast.
Yeah. Right. You learned a lot about him because it was a blowout, but they've got a couple of pro receivers, I think. Number 11 is going to be a pro.
This is a team that's
got some talent.
I mean, that's going to be a favorite to win the MAC.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. I think it's if Central Michigan played ULL, who's really good, I think it would be a good game.
Yeah.
I
agree too.
Tulane, who's got a good team, who's kind of wearing down. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, my prediction, I'm the kind of guy that always fesses up if you're right or wrong. I predicted 35-17.
Yeah, that was my score too. I can't believe we're actually similar on that.
And I was close on the opponent. They got 21, and LSU scored a little more than I thought they would. And they could have scored more that night, again, because they were working on Nussmeier, getting him in, like we talked about. So, anyway, let's turn the page, and you have Mississippi State. This is where it starts. We've been talking about this for 2 weeks, Jace.
Okay. Before we go into Mississippi State, I just want to ask, just as far as like the last thing we talked about, Central Michigan, what you thought was the really good, what you thought was like okay, like the decent, the average, and what you thought was the bad coming away from the 49-21 victory?
Oh, I think there's still some missed opportunities there. I think it's a good question, Jace. It goes back to UCLA. UCLA wasn't just a loss. It was a missed opportunity to play Kiner more. And I do not know why you sign a 4-star running back out of Ohio, player of the year in Ohio, and he's your future, and you don't get him in the game. That just whoa. I mean, this guy, if he has reps in that game, and he has reps in every game going into Starkville, then you feel a little more better. Now, obviously, he showed that he's going to be a great back, but my point I'm making is Kiner should have carried the ball 45 times already in 3 games.
Like, if you think about it, I mean, for TDP, for Ty Davis-Price, if he had Georgia's offensive line and he had this Texas, he would be a really good running back because that's for as like because you talked about the Georgia running backs are pretty much about the same.
They're like him. They got a little more giddy up.
Right.
But here's
he'll be effective. But with this offensive line, you need a guy like Corey Conner to make plays on his own.
Right. That's what I was talking about last week. I was telling you that LSU needs a running back that if there's no hole, you got to be a Dalton Hilliard. You got to make a play. You got to be a Kevin Falk. You got to be a Joseph Adai or Jacob Hester.
Or Clyde.
Or Clyde Edwards or, LeBrandon Tollfield. You got to make Ollie Broussard. You're not always going to have a big opening to run through. You're going to have to have a spin move. You're going to have a create. You're going to have to run over somebody. Ty Davis does not break tackles. And he lacks a burst to get to the hole before it closes. And so it makes the O-line. And Ty's a great kid, but I really believe if Aranda was still with the program, he would be talking going, hey, man, can we move him to linebacker and do the old Patrick Queen thing? You know, Patrick Queen was a running back at Livonia. And I think Ty could be a first-round pick as a linebacker because he's built like a linebacker. And he's not running fast enough to be your main guy at running back. But I know it sounds crazy, but I would get him to come back his senior year and be an outside linebacker and teach him because you can run 4.65 then.
Right.
4.65 is not going to get you 1,000 yards rushing, but it'll get you 100
and
tackles.
He already has the frame to be that way. He's very physical too because he's really good at blitz protection, pass protection. He does a good job of doing that.
He doesn't break tackles, and you need a back in this league. When you watch those Bama backs, you put an arm out, what happens? They run over your arm. If you put an arm out on Ty, he goes down. He doesn't keep his balance, and he's got to break tackles. Yards after carry, he doesn't have much. And so here we are. LSU's 2-1. We thought that would happen. We thought it would be 3-0 before the season started. But you go to Starksville, you got 75,000 cowbells. It's going to be loud. See, these are the things that I want to talk about that people don't think about. The home crowd of those loud cowbells, they're really these people are pissed off. They lost to Memphis. They were screwed. I thought they were the referees did not do a good job.
Yeah, they actually went back and said that they dropped the ball. Yeah, they dropped the ball. So it
cost them a game. They're going to be upset. Now LSU should be upset for getting embarrassed by State at home last year.
And that could provide a lot of motivation, especially when it's going to be 11 o'clock kickoff, and it's hard to really get these kids motivated for 11 o'clock kickoff. The good thing
I do see, though, Jace, is that Johnson's becoming more comfortable. He only started 2 games last year as a true freshman.
Yeah.
He's now got 5 true starts. He looks like he's becoming more comfortable.
He was a lot more comfortable on
just
Saturday.
Let him wing it. Just throw it. And he was throwing balls like Burrow. Burrow didn't throw the ball perfect sometimes. He just threw the 50-50 balls, and Chase and Justin Jefferson and these guys, Marshall, caught the ball.
Receivers, you have a galore of them. Jack Bech, what a beast. And then you mentioned Deion Smith a lot when he should be starting, and he showed why he should be starting.
Well, last week I was mentioning they need to pick their 4.
Yeah.
And they finally
they found
Yeah, you got to quit sometimes worrying about making somebody unhappy. Like, hey, if guys like Kirkland, when he comes back, who's not even playing yet.
That's crazy, too.
Right.
We don't even mention him. Devontae Lee had himself a good game.
I mean, guys like him and J. Ray Jenkins, who has Fumblerooski catching the ball, that you can't – I was mentioning it a week ago. You can't reward when you're not getting the job done.
Right.
But you don't want the guys to quit. Just give them another chance. And look, J. Ray Jenkins, who's a junior, I'm going to say it again.
He had his moments, too.
But think outside the box. They need a safety. Move the guy to safety in practice. He's 6'3", about 210. I mean, move these guys around where you're weak. Don't bench a guy, not play him again. I'm just saying, if I'm get a guy in there and say, look, man, you're not going to play a lot of receiver this year now, but you can be a safety and go in there because he played safety at Gina. I'm just trying to say, why are they not being creative with the depth chart? There's too many receivers, and there's not enough DBs.
Hey, if the freshmen, you notice that the freshmen, like the Corey Connors, the Jack Bech, Deion Smiths, if they're out playing the veterans, you reward them. I mean, no, you can't reward seniority.
But why did they not go with these guys in week 1?
I know week one out, you don't really know what you're going to get from freshmen. And I think if you switch the schedule around, if you give them these 2 games, then UCLA, things will be a little bit different.
Plus, LSU, there's no excuse to have 25 players out the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 of them, there's no reasons. Yeah. There's no, it's like, look, well, they're just out. We'll keep that in-house, you know. Too many guys out. Yeah, so we're over, I think, Jace is telling us for the segment. We're going to take a break and come back and finish our LSU segment 2, and we'll talk about our predictions on the score for this game. It's going to be close. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our guest today is Jace LeJeune, our editor for Louisiana Football Magazine. Go to LAFootballMagazine.com to still order magazines. South
still early in the season.
Issues. I mean, there's parents every week that might just start listening to the podcast. I get dads every week go, hey, man, I just finally listened to it, and I'm in Monroe or I'm in Shreveport. And so if you're listening, your kid's starting, and he's probably one of the better players. He's probably in the magazine. So go to LAFootballMagazine.com. We want to thank our sponsors. We'll do that later in the show. We're going to have a lot of breaks with a lot of our sponsors. But Tommy Harvey, thank you, man. Harvey Subaru and all the different sponsors that we have today. Treads and Care, Tire Center and Central, and Medine's Collision Center, Jace. These are 3 great sponsors. We appreciate them being a part of that, of what we do here with the show. LSU, getting back to LSU. Here's my score for this week. I think it's going to be a shootout. I still don't think the LSU defense is dominant. You can't go by what Central Michigan brought. I did like the defense bringing.
It seemed like they were a lot more
intensity.
Intense. Yeah, they were.
I did like seeing Stingley involved, that he actually was carrying and like playing hard. It set the tone. If they can, and Andre Anthony, his status is up in the air, but Savion Jones looked good late in the fourth quarter, by the way.
Yeah, he did.
And I thought that Little's doing a good job.
Yeah, so Little's he's been making some plays.
And Jacobian Guillory is doing great.
Ojulari's getting to the quarterback a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good young guys playing. I think they feel comfortable rotating, but I think Will Rogers is a legit quarterback who's actually – unfortunately, didn't put it together against Memphis. Kind of was up and down against Tech. He's capable.
Yeah, he hasn't put it all together yet.
But LSU has no safeties, and Leach is going to exploit that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
He's going to duke and donk, and we're not good at that still, I don't think. So LSU's going to have to keep up with State, is my prediction. And I'm going to go, Jace, 38 LSU, 35 Mississippi State.
Okay.
I'm going with a field goal kick from the best kicker in the country late in the game to win the game. Either he makes the kick in 5 minutes left and the defense holds, or he makes a kick late in the game for the win. Now, this could end up being 38-35 Mississippi State very easily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think LSU, and State's not great offensively outside of throwing the ball. Their running backs are beat up, by the way. Both of them got hurt.
Yeah.
But I think the defense for State is still going to put LSU in a position LSU's going to have to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
State's defense has kept them in every game. They actually had a great showing against North Carolina State and shut them down. So State still has the best defense LSU's played yet.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, I think Leach is going to exploit where they can't guard tight ends. They can't. The outside is open still, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and I still think it's not there yet for LSU.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation because you don't know how much. That's like the only thing coming away from it, playing these type of teams. You don't know how much your safeties have improved. You don't know how much your linebackers really improved because with the defensive line getting so much pressure rushing for, you don't know like what's the coverage down the field. Really, you can't really analyze that because the quarterback's getting sacked 3 seconds every touch of the football. So with this game, I'm thinking LSU. hearing that all year long, Mississippi State last year, I think they're going to win 31-21. I think that's what's going to be that type of score. Now, the defense is going to give up a lot of yards. That's still going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a bend but don't break situation.
Yeah, the defense is not there yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I even heard Jacob Hester say it the other day, watching their post game on Cox Sports. Safeties have to become dominant for this defense to be an elite defense. Now, Major Burns is getting better, but he's not there yet.
He had himself a pretty good game.
An interception, but he still got beat a couple of times. Gave up a long.
There was a long busted coverage, so that's still.
Yeah, and they're not. They don't have a LaRon Landry, Craig Steltz, Delpit at DB at safety. They don't have a guy to come up and support the outside runs, support those routes that are run out to the outside. And Leach is going to exploit the same game plan he had last year. He's going to duke and dunk left and right. He's going to take a few shots, and Will Rogers has a great quartet of receivers.
Yeah.
State has 3 NFL receivers.
Well, all I gotta say is LSU better not be man-to-man like they were last year.
No.
They have to mix it up.
They need Jay Ward back for this game to play strong, because they don't have a strong, no pun intended, they don't have a strong safety right now.
Yeah.
And free safety, I don't think Major's there yet. So Jay Ward needs to come back. I'm thinking he might have had a concussion to sit out like that, or just to make sure.
Right. Now, the good thing about these type of offenses, if LSU, and they've shown, if they can get there with the 3 or 4 guys without even blitzing and dropping back, it can make it tough on the offense.
I just don't see LSU dominating pass rush against State's O-line.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to get there more than what they did last year. Now, they're going to get their yards because it's the type of offense they are. But you just have to bend but don't break. You can't give up the crossing route, like wide open tight ends, 80 yards downfield. You can't give up those type of plays.
And you got to start Kiner.
Yep, on offense. He has. I was surprised he wasn't the first running back coming out on Saturday.
Too. I mean, you got to feed that guy.
Yep. But a good thing that you found your number 1 running back. He is your RB1. You found your 4 receivers, and Max is feeling more comfortable. You get your lineman back. Things are starting to come around for them, which is encouraging. But you have to have an impressive showing at Mississippi State. This is, considering all the other teams in their schedule, this is really a must-win for them, considering the schedule
this
coming
is a
up.
must-win for State, too. And this is, to me, it's an even game. Yeah, LSU has a little more talent receiver. Yeah, they're a little better on D-line, but State's got talent too. Yeah. So it's an even game, and the key to the win is Johnson. I'm banking Johnson has another big game. If Johnson does not have a good game, this is going to be an ugly loss. Right. But I'm banking 38 points on Johnson.
Yeah, I think he throws. Receivers. I think he throws 4 touchdowns. That's why I said 31-21, and the Rodgers will have 2 or 3 touchdowns. So it's going to be that type of game, and I still think that York is going to be the one that wins it, because I think LSU kicks the field goal, puts them up by 2 possessions late.
Yeah. Look, Malik Neighbors, who's a great talent from Como High School that finished at Southside but didn't play. I think they need to move him to safety. I put that in the preseason magazine. People might say, Lee is crazy. But I saw the talent they have at receiver early on. But you need a safety. And I don't know why these coaches are not putting more competition, because obviously Derek Davis is not ready. Obviously Jordan Tolles is not ready. I've watched him. He's not.
We haven't seen Sage Ryan out there.
But they need a safety to go along with Major. They need someone that can actually maybe even do a better job, and I would move him to safety. And I'd say, Malik, look, just do it this year. And if it works out, you're a first-round pick. If it doesn't work out, we'll move you back to receiver next year. But don't waste a guy as your 6th guy who could be an all-conference DB for you. I've seen Malik play DB in high school. He's a phenomenal, tough kid, mentally tough. Not all receivers can play safety, but he can. And I would put him there now at free safety to get, because if Major doesn't have a good game, then you're going to go, well, who else is going to play?
That was a missed opportunity, because of those 2 games, McNeese and Central Michigan. It was an opportunity to mix it up and see, experiment a little bit with a lot of the players and see what they can do at another position or so.
So 38-35 LSU is my prediction. The great kicker is going to win a game for
Yeah.
LSU. That is my prediction.
Yeah.
If Johnson has a bad game, it's going to be lopsided State, and I'm taking it that Johnson's got a little confidence, and they're going to throw all over the place.
I thought that was a big game. Everybody might be saying, "Oh, you're supposed to be. It should have been worse with Central Michigan." I thought that game was that game that could turn around. If you look back at it, if LSU has a successful season, that could be the game that changed this form.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something right now.
The way how they started that game.
BJ, the sophomore DM,
Ojolari
from Marietta, Georgia, he's got a chance to have 15 sacks. He's got 4.5 sacks right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he almost had 5 sacks total.
I think they had like 13 sacks in like 2 games as a team. Like
they lead the nation.
Yeah, they lead
in
the
sacks.
nation in sacks. Yeah,
And BJ leads the nation for an individual with sacks.
Mm-hmm.
And in LSU, Johnson leads the country in touchdowns as a quarterback.
Yeah, I think if you look back,
11.
it's crazy. He's like the first SEC quarterback to throw 3 or more touchdown passes in each of his first 5 starts.
And I'm really happy with
impressive.
the D-line coach, Carter.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good hire.
I think he is developing, and you know why? Before we end the segment,
Yeah.
you knew, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it. I fess up when I'm wrong, and I'm glad I'm wrong. But when I saw Mason Smith at Terrebonne High School, Jace, I mentioned it on the show several times. He looked the part.
Yeah, he was like a Greek god. Yeah.
But you never saw him take it to that next level in high school where he just dominated an O-line, right? He'd have a moment like once a game, and then you'd be like, he didn't dominate like a Glenn Dorsey and guys that I've seen in the past, Chad Lavallee and guys like that, Kyle Williams. But that's why you give credit to Coach Carter, because he took Mason Smith and took his game to another level.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he learned a lot from Andre Carter. He was a hell of a player, by the way, in college.
Oh, yeah. He was in the NFL. He was a great player in the NFL.
Just what he's done with Mason and now Jacobian Guillory. This is really Jacobian Guillory's first year to play.
Yeah, because it's been a while since we heard his name, how he recruited
but
guy.
I see these guys having the right leverage now. They're low and their technique's good. I don't think the D-line's technique was even bad at UCLA. I think it was more linebackers and DBs. But the D-line hire was a home run. Andre Carter.
Yeah, that was.
Actually, Mason Smith, Jace, has changed his body.
Yeah.
His body fat's like 2% now. I mean, he lost about 20 pounds. He's grown an inch. And he was 6'4", about 315. Now he's like 6'5", 300.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looks really lean and good.
He looks faster.
Yep.
Like again, my hat's off to Andre Carter, because he's took this guy who was really all potential, and he's taken this kid to another level. Number 0. It's crazy seeing the guy with 0.
Yeah.
Let's go and take a break. In next segment, we have
we're going to talk about some of the other colleges.
other colleges around the state and in the country. I watched a lot of college ball this weekend. We'll be right back. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Madine's Collision Center, located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report with Lee Brecheen, the host, and Jace LeJeune is our co-host. I've got some notes, Jace, I want to fly through real quickly. My main thing is Fresno State beat UCLA.
Well, Fresno
which I thought
State,
that would happen. I thought they would probably, and that just goes to show you UCLA's not going to the Rose Bowl to play for a national championship or the Pac-12, and they still could maybe have a good year. They're better.
Yeah,
but they're a 9-3-8-4 team.
Like I said, I think if you change it up, if you switch the schedule and LSU has those first 2 games to work on and played UCLA again, I think LSU would win.
I watched Ole Miss Tulane. It was delayed for several hours because of rain. Tulane looks tired already.
Mm-hmm.
They look like what they gave at
they've
Oklahoma.
Been through a whole lot.
They look tired.
Yeah.
Ole Miss has the best offense in the country right now.
Absolutely.
Matt Corral.
He's surprising me. I thought I was kind of iffy on Corral, but he's legit.
Take your hats off to Kiffin.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an offensive guru, and Corral, man, if you don't put pressure on him, he's going
to make you pay.
It's deadly. Mississippi State, again, they got screwed by the Memphis game.
If I wasn't Mike Leach, I would be going absolutely insane after that play.
Here's a stat. Florida, Dan Mullen is now 0-11 against Saban in his career.
Yeah, but
you know how bad that hurts as a coach, Jace, to be 0-11?
Yeah, it does hurt. But coming out of that game, it almost felt like a win for Florida, just based how they played. They showed they can play with Alabama, and I thought that was a step in the right direction for them.
Yeah.
Especially you saw how the game started, right? It was 21-3 Alabama. You thought they would run away with it as always, and they came back and really outplayed them in the second half.
Problem is when the game's over, Saban's going, oh man, I'm undefeated. We're not even good yet.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how he's licking his chops. Like, man, we're not even good
early
yet.
in the season. That's when you get Alabama, and there were a couple of times over the last year, like Ole Miss. That was an opportunity for Ole Miss to win. You have to get if you're getting Alabama, you better make sure you get them early in the year.
The worst top 5 team in the country with the worst offense, Georgia. Georgia does not have a good offense. South Carolina's bad.
Yeah,
I mean, they had a walk-on.
They have a coach. They have a graduate
quarterback.
Yeah, GA. Yep.
I mean, South Carolina, man, I feel for them. The Gamecocks have great fans, but they're not very good.
Yeah, they're going to be a long way away.
A&M looks bad.
Yeah, they're not. They're probably the most overrated team in college football.
Saying it for a month.
I haven't been really high on them all preseason either.
Oklahoma, Rattler has a sophomore jinx. Spencer Rattler looks not confident, and he looks like a 7-on-7 quarterback more and more right now to me. He looks like a guy that's a spread quarterback. He's a great athlete, but he's not seeing the field if those Duke and Donks are taken out. I mean, I think
all
struggling.
The preseason hype and all that.
He looks like he's not handling the pressure really well. Brigham Young is better than UCLA. They have 2 Pac-12 wins already, BYU.
Yeah.
I've watched
Ranked.
BYU.
Yep.
So they're 3-0, and BYU should be a top 12 team, I think.
And I tell you that there wasn't a big drop off at quarterback because the Jared Hall quarterback, he's really good.
He's an athlete. He looks like he looks like Russell Wilson in a way to me.
It was like BYU in the 80s when Jim McMahon graduated. Oh, what we're going to do at court, and then Steve Young comes in right after him.
I think their year last year just made them even better.
Everybody else is coming back besides Zach Wilson.
And I wouldn't want to play Brigham Young.
No, I wouldn't.
And finally, I want to say Notre Dame is not looking good still, but they're winning just like Alabama.
Yep.
And the rest of the state. Northwestern State lost again. That's tough.
Yeah, that was tough for Northwestern State to lose that one.
UL beats Ohio U.
Yeah, that was on Thursday. They looked really impressed. That was their most impressive game.
Well, they did who they are. Ran the ball, good defense.
Yep, right.
Tech.
Louisiana. Hail Mary. They lost on a Hail Mary to SMU. So you already this year for Louisiana Tech, they lose on a Hail Mary on the last play when they were winning.
I didn't know that.
Yep, that happened on Saturday against SMU. And then they had that game won, and a Hail Mary beat them. And then a missed field goal against Mississippi State. So if you get those 2 wins, you'll be talking differently about Louisiana Tech. But those 2 crushing losses on the last play of the game, man, it shows you how much the ball can roll sometimes.
And poor Florida State, 0-3. And they got beat pretty handily by Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest is actually a solid team in the ACC.
But I would hate to be the coach at Florida State.
First time since Bobby Bowden took over was the first time they started the season 0-3.
Do you think Nebraska and Florida State can go hang out and eat popcorn? Because Florida State and
Nebraska, Tennessee is not really
those
coming back.
3 teams can go hang out and say, let's talk and relate because we've been sucky for several years.
And you can really throw USC in the mix because it's been a while.
At least USC's had some win seasons.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they've been to the bowl games at least.
Yeah,
Nebraska would go to the bowl game if it was called the toilet bowl right now. I mean, it really would. Let's take a break. When we come back, Jace, what do we have next?
So we're going to actually have the Brother Martin interviews that you conducted over the weekend.
And I interviewed the athletic director at Brother Martin, Mark Wisniewski. Oh, he's going to be at.
Try saying that 5 times.
He's going to be mad at me. Mark Wisniewski. Been at Brother Martin for over 30 years, Jace, the athletic director. I had a chance to hang out with him at the football game and also an interview with Mark Bonis, the head football coach at Brother Martin. By the way, their program, they got a lot of talent. Mac Mahat at quarterback's really good. Swilling, Corey Lambert's really good at DB.
Yeah, he just committed to Nevada.
And they're very good, again, on the OD line. Their linebackers. Their first game I was there against East Ascension. It was sloppy because it was their first game.
And East Ascension is not an easy opponent to go in your first game opening up.
And they're the best 0-2 team in the state, I think, with 2 losses.
Yeah.
East Ascension during LD, they do it. I mean, he played there, played at McNeese, but we'll be back with interviews with our Brother Martin coach and athletic director. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm Lee Brecheen, your host. This segment, we're going to go ahead and go to our interview, the interview I did with Mark. Jace, I'm going to screw this name up. Mark Wisniewksi, the athletic director from Brother Martin. Check this out. I'm here with Mark Wisniewksi, the athletic director at Brother Martin High School. Coach, you've got a background in wrestling.
Wrestling and baseball. I was the head wrestling coach for 7 years, and I was the head baseball coach for 21.
Not a bad reputation of wrestling at Brother Martin.
No, it's not. It's
I'm
not too
from
shabby.
New Orleans, but when I think of wrestling, I think of Brother Martin as one of the top Jesuit Brother Martin, Catholic of Baton Rouge.
Yes, sir. It's a solid program, and we've had guys through the years that have just done a great job with keeping the tradition going.
Thursday night game. What's it feel like to finally get a game?
We're excited. Our kids are excited to get out there, especially with all the devastation that's all around us. Get out and get back to normal at least, and get some normalcy in our lives. We started back at school this past Monday, and getting through with football, and not a Friday night, but it doesn't matter. Any night at this point, we'll take what we can get.
Well, I got here at 4:30 just because I'm on my routine, and I know y'all got here not long after 5.
Yes, sir.
Just to get the traffic. I mean, the traffic's bad.
The traffic. We sat there and we had to detour twice off the interstate because they had traffic all over the place. It took us almost 25 minutes to go 3 miles in New Orleans, and that's usually what it is, getting close to the weekend and trying to get through Metairie.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Mark, on Tulane LSU this year so far? I mean, Tulane almost beat Oklahoma.
Tulane had a great game.
LSU fumbled against UCLA.
Tulane had a great game. I think if they had the opportunity to play at home where they were supposed to, it could have been a different story. I mean, they were all pumped up to play that game. They were excited about it. Unfortunately, they had to go on the road, but they played well. They got to back that up this week. LSU stumbled out the gates a little bit. They had a little better game last week against McNeese. They got another one this weekend with Central Michigan. They got to get better every week, and if they do that, it's going to be a good year.
Mama Hat was on our cover, your quarterback. 4-year starter, rare at 5A, Brother Martin. I don't ever remember a guy starting 4 years at quarterback.
No, and I've been there 32 years, and I was also a graduate there, and I can't, in my time, remember anybody who was a 4-year. Garrett is just a great young man. He's a competitor, great kid. We love him being at the helm of our offense, and we look forward to great things this year.
Mark, you're the athletic director at Brother Martin. I was just thinking today, Ward Manuel, who's a graduate of Brother Martin, played at Michigan, is the athletic director at Michigan. I mean, not too many Louisiana natives are athletic directors in college.
No, it's we're real proud of Ward. We get to talk to him from time to time. He's doing a great job and representing. So we're excited about that.
I remember when he played with the Pat Stant group.
Yep.
That was a great group of guys.
That was a solid group with the Collin years and going through that. Coach Collin did obviously a great job. What he did speaks for itself. Great man, and he put a lot of good athletes out into the world and better people.
Yeah, Adam Krause was a recent one that came out.
Adam Krause. We got Clapp with the Saints right now.
Swelling brothers at
Swelling. We have Irv Smith, who's with Minnesota Vikings. Rod Teamer with the Raiders. We got a few guys.
Teamer's worked hard, huh? To get
yes, sir. He has. He, coming out of Tulane, and he's with San Diego. He was a special teams player there, which he did a real good job. Got a lot of high praise, and we're just wishing for great success for these guys.
Singleton at Houston.
Yes.
That's another one.
Yep.
Another
Jeremy.
receiver. Jeremy's done a good job.
Yes, sir, he has.
Junior. We can go on and on. The Crusaders have had some players. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to kickoff. Looking forward to talking to Coach Mark Bonis. And thanks for taking the time.
Yes,
Coach.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that interview with the athletic director from Brother Martin. Crusaders in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're going to go ahead and do our share our interview that I did with Mark Bonis. I was able to talk to Coach at the game this past week, and check this out. He had a lot of good things to say and what they've been through with all the weather and everything over the summer with Coach Mark Bonis, the head football coach of Brother Martin. I'm here with Mark Bonis, the head football coach of Brother Martin Crusaders. Their first game is tonight against these Ascension Spartans at Dutchtown. Coach, you got to feel good. I know it's Thursday night, but to get the first game.
Yeah, I mean, just have a little bit of sense of normalcy. It is great. Excited for our guys, for our young men, being able to come out here and play a football game. In our scrimmage, we had some contact tracing issues. I think we had 27 guys out. Then we went and played our jamboree. We were excited about things about getting the jamboree in, and then right after the jamboree, a lot of our guys evacuated. So we haven't really done anything since August 27th. So the amount of time that not just our guys, our young men, but everybody around the state puts in, you just want them to be able to play as many games as possible, enjoy the fruits of their labor that they've put in for the last year. So very excited for them, very excited for East Ascension's young men. I know they played last week, but just excited to come play football.
Coach, this will play on Friday. People hear it on Friday statewide.
Perfect.
But what's going on in New Orleans? I'm in Baton Rouge, but what's going on overall? A lot of teams trying to get back this Friday.
trying to find some sense. Yeah, like we talked about earlier, trying to find some sense of normalcy. Most of the teams miss weeks 1 and week 2. We have a lot of teams that are trying to get back week 3. Some will not be able to play, outside of New Orleans, like I think the Hornbills and the Destrans and East St. John's. I don't think they're going to play till week 4 or week 5. You just very, feel bad, feel for those young men, those families, and those coaches. But yeah, down in New Orleans or over in New Orleans, we're sitting there trying to get back this week. I think the sole game last week in the metro area had Shaw and St. James playing. They got to play last Saturday. So this week right here is going to be the first true sense of normalcy for most teams in the metro area.
What's it like to have a 4-year starting quarterback back in Manhattan? In 5A, you're always trying to develop a guy.
Yes.
And it's hard in this league.
Right.
You got a 4-year guy back.
Well, I can tell you this: when you worried about the last 3 or 4 weeks of not playing a whole bunch, that allows you to sleep a little bit better at night. That you have a quarterback, that has a lot of games under his belt. And then we're excited about his offensive line. We graduated a large crew of starters last year, but we also had 3 guys that played a lot last year. We played 8 guys last year, and then we have some young guys that have been waiting their turn that are ready to go. So we feel good about the guys around him, being able to protect him, but also being able to run block for our running backs who we think are very, very talented. Obviously, we'll miss Jalen Spears, who's a stud for us, but we've got some, believe we have some explosion back there, explosive capabilities with our backs. But yeah, like you asked about Garrett, when it makes things lets you rest assured a little bit when you haven't had a sense of normalcy for the last 4 weeks.
Getting the snap at least.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coach Bonis, tell everybody about what's your thoughts on Corey Lambert as a player, senior. Low under the radar.
Yeah, it blows my mind, how under the radar he is. I know the COVID year for these colleges has impacted that, as well as the transfer portal. I know the NCAA is looking to possibly increase. From what I'm understanding, the classes, but I don't think that's not going to affect him. That's going to be after him. This is the thing that blows my mind is that, people use, with a lot of teams going to a 3-man front or trying to be very versatile defensively, you look at Corey's resume and, we talk about everything's an audition. Well, shoot, he could play 4 spots. He can play free safety. He can play strong safety, play nickel. He can play inside backer. So these defenses that have adjusted well to offensive play, he can play multiple spots. He can start one place, finish at another place.
Kind of like your Manning kid's a good player.
Yes. He's another, and that's what I've talked about. Really, I think I talked to you about it in the magazine. Is that our versatility in the back end is the best versatility we've ever had back there. We have guys that can play corner, free safety, strong safety, which allows us the multiplicity to do some diverse things. Last year we were young back there. We missed an off season, so those guys didn't get to have 7-on-7s. It's great that we had an off season, so we feel good. We're able now to have that off season work coupled with their versatility, their athleticism, and I'm really excited to watch them play this year.
One last question, Coach, before you go to team. I like how you use a lot of tight ends.
Yes, sir.
And because it's, I love the old school of run the ball straight at you, power front line. I mean, this whole Catholic League is like a stable of fullbacks and tight ends. And
yeah, I mean,
if you don't have them,
we're always. I mean, that is so
offensively. Got a good defense.
Offensively, you're looking for your quarterback, you're looking for your running back. For us, just as important, as equally important for us as tight ends. We have one, we'll play with 4. We actually have one that's a freshman that's playing for us. Right now we're looking in our young classes, our 8th and 9th grade, the 9th graders right now, to pick up another guy for next year. We're always looking for those guys. We brought on a former player of ours, Jordan Green, who played at Southern Miss. Great lineman for us. He helps with the offense line, but does a great job in coaching those tight ends. So I mean, he has brought a lot, has helped us out. And the other thing I'll talk about is besides him, the other thing, proud of our program is that in our staff, we now have 5 guys that have played for us. That are on our staff, that are Crusaders, that are on our staff, which says a lot about our institution, but also says a lot about what this football program means to them. So, when you have that, and our coaches are I hate to say old, they'll get mad at me, but our older coaches, have been with us for a very long time. Have done a great job, and now bringing these young guys in, it makes it a lot easier for me as I'm getting older to have guys that know what your program stands for and can relate to our players.
Commitment.
Yes, commitment, and what they have done, what they have really helped out with. Is the buy-in for our younger players in their development, and that's that's very key, and so we're excited about things. Got a long way to go, obviously, being off since August 27th, that's the biggest concern, but really excited about playing tonight.
Coach, you have weathered the storm personally, your family, yourself, health-wise. God bless you. You've done a phenomenal job. The last 5, 6, 7 years have been incredible with the school.
Well, thank you very much. It's 4 of the last 7 we've been to the semis. We're looking to take that next step, and we've got a great group of young men that we believe can do that. We tried challenging them. As you saw our schedule early, we really wanted to challenge them and create that metamorphosis or that growth of our kids a little bit faster with the tough schedule. Obviously, unfortunately, we weren't able to play the first 2. Still have a tough schedule starting with East Ascension District and then Karen Crow. So we're hoping that helps our guys to grow up. Going into the playoffs. That's what we want to be doing. We want to play our best football come playoff time. And I do appreciate you asking about me and our family. I just asked this. My son who has gone through a lot. He goes in for a big surgery for larynx. Reconstruction and trach removal next week. So I just ask for all you viewers to keep us in your prayers.
We'll be praying for him, and you too. Coach, let me take a quick picture of you.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed those 2 interviews. We're going to be back in our next segment. We're going to talk some high school football. We'll be back in just a moment. So, hey, guys, just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Harvey Autos. If you need a new or used car, there's 3 great dealerships right here worth checking out. John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Low prices, honest people. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those interviews with the athletic director from Brother Martin Crusaders in New Orleans, and also Mark Bonis, the head football coach of Brother Martin. Jace, I still think they're one of the top 3 programs in the state on the private side of Class 5A.
Oh, yes, and there are a whole lot of them at Division I bracket. I mean, if you come out of that, even though you probably have to win less games to win a championship, it's just as tough because you're going to have to play Rummel, Brother Martin, Jesuit,
John
Catholic
Curtis,
High, Bird,
John Curtis,
St. Aug. I mean, it's
the
crazy.
Same guys. But they will be in the thick of it in the end because McMahon, their quarterback, has been through 4 years of just winning 90% of his games. They have a really good offensive line. They're going to have a better running game as the season goes on.
Yeah, they had to replace a really good one in Jaden Spears.
But they've got some good young backs. I saw, and they were rusty the first game, but I saw a lot of ability. I think they got some great receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Their linebacking core is super aggressive. I'm going to tell you right now, Jace, their linebackers, Jerron Manning Rantlett.
Yeah, they're a talented group.
And there's a third kid who's a senior. I'm trying to think of his name, number 42. They've got one of the best linebacking cores in the Catholic League. Their DBs are awesome, and their D-line is really good. The LeBlanc kid at D-line, who's a junior, Brendan LeBlanc, big time. 6'1", 6'2", about 250, can run about a 4.8. High school football, Jace, I've been impressed with. I've watched over 70 teams in the last 3 weeks. People say, well, how do you watch 70? Well, I'll go to games and I'll watch full game huddle, full game tape. I spend about 10 hours every 2 days doing that, and I'm watching tape of guys I'm doing highlight tapes on. And the most impressive thing I've seen is Catholic High going to West Monroe, beating West Monroe.
Yeah, never easy.
And beating Acadiana.
Yeah,
now,
that was
all
very
in
impressive.
the first 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that. I mean, you got Acadiana, who's been the most dominant 5A program in the state for the past 5 years, outside of Catholic High on the private side.
Right.
And then you got West Monroe, one of the toughest places to win on the road. They go to West Monroe.
And they never beat West Monroe before that game.
The Bears, what impresses me about Catholic High, Jace, your old high school, is their defensive line and linebackers are like a fence. I mean, you cannot get to the secondary on them. And I think the offensive line for Catholic High,
they're huge. I mean, they look like a Division
But
I.
it's not just size.
Yeah.
They will move you, and they will pancake you, and they have a battering ram in their tight ends and fullbacks. It is the best blocking offense in the state.
Yeah, they have the best power running game in the state.
You cannot stop Catholic, and the thing is, they just kill the clock. I mean, when they get the ball, you just 7-8 minute
when
drives.
they do need to throw, I tell you, Daniel Bill has an impressive arm, and you have Shelton Sampson to throw the football.
And you got other receivers.
Yep.
But their blocking on their O-line is just incredible. Now, Emory Jones is
it's not just Emory Jones, but they're like 5 across. They're
and
big.
number 8, their fullback, their H-back is the best blocker in the state.
Yep.
And they bring in other fullback H-backs that are phenomenal. Hats off to Semino and that staff.
Yeah, it's not easy.
They look tougher to me than they've been in the past. Not that they weren't tough. They just looks like they're more physical.
Yeah.
And it's really not good for other teams. And, you know, they moved Wesley Woodward inside, Jace, from D tackle.
They did. I noticed that too.
And he is not getting the sacks, but he's taking up 3 blockers.
Yep.
And people like Toston and these other kids on the D-line are just mopping up. I mean, it's scary. If they don't have any injuries, any major injuries, they're going to win the title, I believe.
And another team has really...
And the 2 running backs. They got 2
Corey Singleton. And speaking of Corey Singleton, he just committed to Army. So Army's getting themselves a pretty good back. And they have a bunch of them, like you mentioned. Another team that really impressed me, Lee, is speaking of KDN, they lost to Lafayette Christian. And that's another powerhouse. And anytime you beat a 5A school, a powerhouse 5A school, and you're only 2A, I mean, that's really impressive. And they beat Lafayette. That was Coach Falk's old team, and pretty single-handedly. And then Lafayette, they go and beat Karen Crow. Yeah. So Lafayette Christian and Catholic and Lafayette Christian are going to play pretty soon.
I think Catholic's playing everybody who's good.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
You know, I know St. Thomas More and Neville's going to hook up. I don't know if it's this week or next week.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
And then let's not forget about...
I'm sure the LSU coaches will be there for that one.
Calvary Baptist is still strong and loaded. I haven't seen them this year, but I know that Liddy's great, and I know that they've got some great players, and they're even better than they were last year, Calvary Baptist and Shreveport.
You know who's impressed, Lee? General Trask. They look really good.
Again, they got their quarterback back. And I also like, obviously, Edna Carr.
Yeah. Didn't Aaron had 3 kickoff return touchdowns?
Aaron Anderson's better than Waddle, who was at Alabama. He is better than Waddle. It's a guy LSU cannot lose. I mean, you have got to, I don't know if you put 5 picket fences around his house, but Aaron Anderson is one, and I've been doing this for 30 years. Playmaker-wise, speed-wise, football speed-wise, he's one of the best I've ever seen come out of Louisiana. You know, Rocket Ismail was a guy I saw at Notre Dame come out of Pennsylvania. He's the Rocket Ismail of Louisiana. Now, I know Speedy Knoll was a great player in high school when he signed with A&M, but it just didn't work out.
Right.
But he is Aaron has a third gear that nobody else has. Like, he can stop and then run a 4.240.
Start and stop on a dime,
And he can play with you. Like, he can say, okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to turn right and then I'm going to outrun you and just be like a speed of light. You can't, when people say, oh, can you replace that if you lost a commit? No, you can't replace somebody that doesn't exist when you lose that commitment. Hopefully that Alabama will not get him. Hopefully he stays in state.
Yeah, I know. And hopefully they do get him because they miss out some electrifying players in the past, like Puka Williams, guys like that. They miss over the years, and it'll be very encouraging. It'll be encouraging if they can get a guy like that stay in state.
Look, I'm going to tell you, with all the receiver talent LSU has coming up, if they can get him on campus, where's the weakness? Punt return, right? Can you imagine him being the punt return at LSU? And then your kick return, I would let him come out the end zone. Like, no, don't fair catch.
Yeah.
Don't fair catch. It's an automatic 50-yard line with him, Aaron Anderson. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NFL and how the Saints are it's interesting to see how that's going to go. I predicted a 10-7 season, I believe, 17.
Yeah, I think I said 11-6.
11-6, yeah. Barely playoff team.
Yeah, they'll make one of the wild card spots.
I'm going to stay with my prediction. We'll be right back to talk about the Saints. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads & Care Tire Company, located in Central. Call 331-8144. Family owned and operated. It's 1971. That's 331-8144. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our co-pilot today is Jace LeJeune. The NFL, I watched a few games. First of all, I want to throw out Grant Delpit made his debut, Jace.
Debut, yep.
He had his Achilles tendon as a rookie. He hurt it, missed the whole year. He had a sack and 5 tackles.
Like, in that sack, I mean, he banged up.
Won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, Grant's 6'3" now, about 215, runs 4.5, and he is now the piece of the puzzle. And, they're playing without their safety who is suspended.
Right.
So when they get him back with Grant, whoa. And Greedy's not playing a lot. He's on the team. Jacob Phillips is hurt.
Yeah, but he's been playing before that.
Little note to mention, the New England Patriots started 3 LSU football players Sunday.
Okay.
Deshaun Bauer, Jalen Mills, and
Devon's starting for him.
Can you, Belichick likes him a little LSU, doesn't he, still?
He definitely loves him more than Sean Payton does, I can tell you that.
Jalen Mills was with the Eagles, remember? Devon was with the Dolphins.
Yep.
And Bauer came back to the Patriots where they picked him up as a free agent. And Bauer really wasn't a big thing at LSU from New Jersey.
Yeah,
he's really done a good job. One final thing before we get to the Saints. College football attendance. If you're an LSU fan and you're not happy about the stands, it did look pretty bleak.
Yeah, it did.
It looked half full to me. There's a lot that happened. I will say this. Between the COVID and between the storm that hit all the cities, family comes first, your home, all that, it did affect, I would think, at least 10,000 seats.
Yeah.
Just from the storm.
Yeah. I know, just paid. Now, this isn't everybody in the stadium.
Right.
It was, paid attendance was, 91,000. That's just paid.
It did look to me like 60.
And I rode around campus in the morning. It didn't feel like it was a Saturday. At LSU.
Now, if it had been Florida, it would have been 80,000 plus or whatever.
People worry about that, but trust me, when those big games come around, they're going to pack the stands. You saw the whiteout.
Yeah.
I mean, with Penn State.
If you feel bad about the attendance for LSU, this will make you feel better.
And
you can Google this.
Yep.
Ohio State, Jace, had their lowest attendance for a game.
I saw that.
1971, only 76,000 fans.
Yeah, it looked really empty.
That is the lowest since 1971, Woody Hayes days.
Yeah.
So it's not just LSU that's having trouble filling the stands when it's not a marquee game.
Yeah, that's the thing. And especially it was Ohio State coming off after a loss.
Yeah.
And
but it's
not great.
But that wouldn't happen 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a new deal now. It's is this pro-fan attitude?
I thought the first 2 weeks of college football with the fans everywhere were great. I mean, every game I saw, Virginia Tech was loading the stadium, and Mass and Wisconsin doing the jump around, and when the marquee games do come around, they're going to fill the stadium. It's just those those FCS, FBS games.
I'm going to tell you another one.
They're not going to pack the stadium for that.
And this has got to make Michael Irvin and all these guys upset, Warren Sapp. I was watching
Miami.
I was watching Miami, Michigan State, right at Miami, in that beautiful facility they have.
I thought Michigan State would win.
Did you look in the stands?
Yeah, it's
20% filled, man. I mean, it was dead. Like nobody was there.
That's another reason.
That's a good game. Michigan State, Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's there. Now, if you're a recruit and you're going visit the U back in the 90s,
yeah,
it's packed, man. You go now, it's like the beach better impress me.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why Miami's been down a little bit, because they play in an NFL stadium. Just the atmosphere of it. It's not a college atmosphere. Nobody wants to play in that.
But their fans are a little up and down about support. You know, they just not. They've always been that way a little bit, I think.
If you're winning, they'll be there.
Yeah.
But if you're not, they won't care.
So the New Orleans Saints, Jace, getting back to them, I predict them as a barely playoff team.
I thought they would sneak in with 11 wins.
I still think with a genius head coach in Peyton, they're not going to go 1-16 or anything, because they're just too well coached. But Winston, he went back to his bag of bad flaws, throwing the ball up in the air.
You saw the old Tampa Bay Jameis Winston.
Old Tampa Jameis, and that's what I was worried about. And here's a guy 32, 33 years old, been in the league a decade. Peyton's not going to start him several weeks. Okay, he's got a short leash on your opportunity.
Yeah, it's one game. We'll see what happens. Is a roller coaster. Keep in mind, we were spoiled with a quarterback like Drew Brees, who's Mr. Consistent, and a lot of the times, besides that, if you're not like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, like the top 3 or 4 guys, Patrick Mahomes, you could be
even the
up
Saints
and down.
Defense looked bad.
Yeah,
and so I know the coaches had a lot of coaches out.
Yeah, let's see, Davenport was out, and
half the staff was out.
Yeah, half the coaching staff was out. Like half the defense was really out. If you think about it.
But I mean, Carolina's middle of the road. They're in your conference too, so that was a bad loss. It was a conference game. Sam Darnold looks good with a new team.
Yep, Joe Brady's offense look like it's coming together.
Terrace Marshall had a couple of catches.
He did.
And the final thing with the NFL, Joe Burrow had his worst game ever, 3 interceptions.
And I think those 3 came on back to back to back.
They did. And they still only lost 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. I don't know what it is about Chicago, Jace, but it's hard to play in Chicago in the fall. I don't know why. The Saints never did well in Chicago. I don't even think Dallas did.
Cold weather.
It's a very muggy place to play. The fans are really, really good. They're loud. I don't care if they're 0-17.
Yeah, they got a really good fan base in Chicago.
But Soldier Field is not a place to play. The wind it plays
Windy
with kickers.
City,
And it's just your balls being thrown.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Chicago's never been good for the Saints. Throw it up, put it in the garbage can, and go to the next game.
Yeah, heading to this Panthers game, I wasn't feeling too great about it with all the COVID stuff and the players being out. And coming into it, I didn't think the Saints would actually win on Sunday. Did I thought they would get blown out like they did? No, but I was expecting a loss. So you got to move. You got to turn the page, and then somehow if you can go and lose 2 games down the stretch before the bye, you get there at 3-2 or 4-2. 3-3 before the bye, you get everybody back and all the key players back.
I want to mention that we couldn't get this in last week because we already had our show recorded. But I want to mention my condolences to the Kevin Falk, his family, and him.
Yes,
for the loss of his daughter, who was very young and a student at LSU, and I think worked in the football office.
Yep.
Just tragic, just seeing that and reading it, and just my condolences to their family. Prayers and. For Kevin Falk and his family, I just can't imagine losing your daughter so young, too young, and I don't know. I guess Kevin could be away again this week would be understandable.
Yeah,
to not
would not blame him at all.
So Kevin Falk, Hall of Famer, running backs coach for LSU's daughter, passed away this past week, and it's just been a crazy 2 years, Jace. With losing too many good people. But, prayers to his family. And any final thoughts before we go?
No, hope everybody is doing good. COVID's been tough on everybody, and Hurricane Ida. And we had some pretty bad weather last week. But, this state is as resilient as they are, and we just got to push forward, move forward, and that's all you can do. And this state is going to do so.
I want to mention one more thing before we go. Remember former defensive end from Bastrop High School, LSU, Trevez Moore?
Yeah, he played at Arizona State. I saw him at Arizona State. Yeah,
he was got hurt late in the third quarter.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they said he was one of their best players. It just goes to show you he wasn't really LSU's top 25, one of their guys.
No,
he's one of
you
their
saw
top.
Him in the rotation.
And Jordan Clark had a good game.
Yeah, I saw his name. Yeah, Ryan must be proud.
Yeah, he had a good game. He's a starting corner for them since his freshman year. I think he's a junior now.
Mm-hmm.
And out of all those big-time recruits, actually Jordan Clark's had a better career than most of those guys in that class.
Besides, I guess Christian Harris would be the only one. I haven't really kept up with how Michael Hollins is.
He hasn't really. He's been behind a lot of running backs at Virginia. And then Micaiah Tongue left Georgia to go to Oregon State, so and
Constantine retired from football.
And he was a great line, but it was a crazy big group at U-High. And McKernan's son at quarterback was a pretty good player, and he was a walk-on at LSU. And he's not there anymore as a walk-on, but it was that was a phenomenal high school team 3 years ago.
Jaquan Roy was a junior, so I mean he's on that team. He wasn't a senior, but he's doing pretty good at LSU right now.
Yeah, number 99.
Yep.
He's actually, like I said, if LSU can get a pass rush for a whole game, and then Johnson has a good game throwing the ball, I just don't think LSU can stop State on the road with the Cowbells. It's a young team. LSU's really, they talk about all these starters they got coming back. A lot of these guys are young that played second half of last year, like Johnson. It's going to be interesting to see.
And it was a different circumstances if you think about it, because by the time all these young guys played, the season was already over. And like the Florida game, Ole Miss game, we got nothing to lose. We'll just play and see what happened where the cards may fold.
Feed Connor the ball, because it gets rougher as you go. It gets tougher, and if they don't show a run game against State, like any kind of run game, even if they win, it still could be a 7-5, 8-4 team. I'm still keeping my 8-4 record for LSU.
I think the biggest thing with the run game is, like throughout 3 quarters, they can probably throw the football 80% of the time, but 20% of the time. But it comes, if you have a lead, a 6-point lead, and you need to grind out some clock, you need to run the football, that's what you need to do.
But you know what they're going to do Saturday? They're going to throw to open up the run. Because they don't feel confident enough for the run to open up the passing game. So they're going to go out throwing, and if it doesn't work, it's going to be rough. So the passing game has to work in Starksville, and it's all about Johnson stepping up and making the right throws. It's all about Jack Besh and Deion Smith.
And he's a mismatch problem. You got to utilize that.
Devontae Lee needs to keep catching balls when he gets
Brian
a shot.
Thomas has been out there.
Brian will step up a little bit.
Yep.
So we'll see, and then we'll see. I think they also need to return punts better.
Yeah, no matter if it's been Coy Moore or Trey Palmer.
Coy Moore needs to make better decisions on punts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Either one, Trey Palmer, Coy Moore needs to be more decisive out there.
So they might have a new punt returner. It wouldn't shock me if somebody else is returning punts.
Yeah, my old dad back in high school was a punt returner. He said that is the hardest thing to do when you're out there.
Good hands.
Yeah, and there's going to be 11 people coming at you, trying to take your head off.
And you got to catch that ball. That's a turnover. That could be 4 games.
Punt return is the hardest thing to do.
And the ball's going up. It's spinning at a weird angle when it comes down.
Yep. And if you call a fair catch, they're going to be staring at you, hoping that you drop it.
Have you ever tried to catch a ball spinning coming down out of the air? I've done that in high school. In the wind, in the sun. That is hard. People don't understand how hard it is to catch a ball from a punt.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing to do in football, in my opinion.
You catch a ball straight, right? They throw it to you. When it's spinning in the air and it comes down like that.
Because it hits your chest at a different angle. So
that's hard. And so there's only so many guys that can punt return because there's only so many that have good hands.
Yep.
And
so LSU, over years past, they've been pretty spoiled with that too. They've always had pretty good punt returners in years past.
Stingley might be in there to do that, just to catch it. You never know.
Yeah, if it comes to this point where you don't feel anybody that's comfortable doing that, Stingley has shown that at least he's comfortable out there and he can break some tackles. He can catch it.
You don't want him getting hurt doing it.
But at this point, if your top 2-3 options haven't really been, impressive, you have to put a guy like Stingley that's proven and put him out there just in case your 3 or 4 guys have been struggling there.
And one final thing, I did watch Garrett Dillinger play. He looked good. Dummerville looked good when he played. I did like Xavier Hill.
Xavier Hill played pretty good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So those 3 guys are up and coming. They're young. And you know Ed Ingram's going to play in the NFL and start.
Yeah.
Dackless is solid. Hines looked a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little more potential there.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think Shanahan still needs some improvement, but he's gotten a little. He played decent. He played a decent game on Saturday.
Well, we'll see what happens, and that's my prediction. What is your final score again?
I said 31-21. It's going to be one of those games. It's going to be a one-possession game the whole entire game, and I think York kicks a field goal to put them up by too late. And
well, if you follow the way the season's going, Jace, State's been down like 17 points by 2 teams.
Yeah.
And they come back.
Yeah.
So
even if
LSU's winning this game by 17 points, it's at State. And if they get momentum, they're typically a second-half team.
The fourth quarter is when they've been really dangerous coming back, like the Louisiana Tech game, and that's where you have to watch out for them.
It's going to be stressful.
It's going to be intriguing because this game is going, in my opinion, it's going to make or break their season.
It's a must-win.
Because if you get that first SEC win, we know LSU has the talent, but they have the talent to compete with everybody. Not beat everybody, but they have the talent to compete.
But if you lose this game, it's over.
Yeah, that's why I said this is a make or break game for their season.
And hopefully there's not more than 10 players not dressed out. Hopefully they finally get everybody back. Hopefully Emory might get approved. Hopefully Bradford will be waived to play.
Hopefully Anthony's all right. We don't know what the status of his injury is.
You need to get Josh White back at linebacker. You need to get Greg Penn back from being hurt from Maryland. You need to get even Kirkland and Sony back on special teams. They're special teams guys.
Right.
Do you realize your 2 best special teams gunners haven't played this year, and John Trey Kirkland and Sony Fanua.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're your best special teams guys. They haven't even played a down.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and go. Hope you enjoyed the show. Wish we could talk about more high schools and more recruits, but you can go to our website to check out our recruit stories. Yeah. LAFootballmagazine.com. Jace is writing articles. Also, our young student Aiden is doing a good job.
Yeah, he has.
And you can also catch it. Our interview on Wednesday is going to be the quarterback from Lola Prep in Shreveport.
So we'll have the podcast version of it. We'll have the website version of it.
Jacob Lafitte. I think they'll enjoy that interview. You want to catch that on Wednesday. Jacob Lafitte, who's also a great kicker with a 60-yard leg, Jace.
Yeah. Himself a pretty good game against Logansport.
He's a senior this year, class of 222. We'll see everybody on Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.